Hello and happy Friday. I'm Maya Perez, your host for The Huddle. Today we have new special guests for you, but first, let's mention the sports. The NBA season has started and today we have 12 games. I'm definitely going to be rooting for the Lakers against the Timberwolves, duh. Ethan and Marcus are joined by Thomas, who is one half of the Rebel Roundtable. Ethan, please give me your picks.
All right, thank you, Maya, and thanks again, Thomas, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's going to be a real fun episode.
Yeah, for sure. We have a bunch of games today. Thomas, you want to make your first pick?
Yeah, starting with the Celtics and Knicks, I have to go with the Knicks. They have so much depth. Cat, Jalen Brunson, they hold it down with the starters, but yeah, the bench comes in and holds it down.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with this game and the Knicks in general is we really got to see what this offense looks like. We already have one game under our belt, but I'm really curious on, we have a lot of injuries, especially on the Celtics side. Mm-hmm. How can the Knicks capitalize on that, No Tatum, we're saying all season, but we don't really know for sure yet. This whole roster is basically retooled. We have Jaylen Brown leading now. Mm-hmm. It's really going to take a lot of time for the Celtics to figure out what they're going to do.
Absolutely, and me, you see the jersey here, I'm never going to pick the Boston Celtics under any circumstance. It's Knicks all the way. The Boston, like you said, they have a lot of injuries going on right now. We don't know who we're really going to see from that starting lineup. Tatum's out for the season. He should be out for the season. I hope he doesn't try to play. That'd be a big mistake. But I just think it's too much for the Boston Celtics to handle. I definitely got the Knicks in this one.
Yeah. You think Jaylen Brown can actually lead a team?
I mean, he looked good against the Mavs in that final series, so I will give him credit for that. But I don't think he can lead it, sustain it for the entirety of a season as a top engine offense. I mean, they can be middle of the pack. They can sneak out some solid wins, be middle of the pack team in the East. I just don't think they're going to be anywhere near the top three.
Yeah, I think if Tatum was out last year, this would be a much different conversation. But this is a completely new team that Jaylen Brown has to now carry.
Yeah, no Drew Holiday, no Kristaps.
No, I just don't see it.
Right, yeah. I mean, the Celtics really don't have the depth anymore. Yeah. When you look at the Knicks, they're stacked down. I feel like they can run like a 9-10 man rotation and possibly gas the Celtics right out of the game.
Yeah, sure. Want to move on to the next game?
Yeah, next game we got Timberwolves at Lakers. I am a Lakers fan, so I'm going with the Lakers.
I am the only non-Lakers fan here. I'm going to go with the Timberwolves. Ant's going to be amazing this year, maybe even MVP this year. I'm just going to call it right now. They looked amazing to finish out the season. They started off really slow, but things really picked up. Ant, he added that three-point shot last year. Who knows what he's going to add this year? And yeah, with the Lakers, it's just Bron's still out. Mm-hmm. And we still have to know what this team's going to look like, with Aiden anchoring and Luka leading this team. I just don't really know yet.
Obviously, you see the jersey. I got to ride with my team. I'm going to pick the Lakers. I say with the Lakers, obviously there's definitely a lot of question marks without LeBron out there, but I feel like if any team is equipped to be without LeBron James right now, is Luka Doncic, as you have, you get me Lakers, excuse me, as you have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves able to run the offense phenomenally. You also have to look at Marcus Smart. I think that's going to be a huge pickup. He's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He has finals experience. Same thing with DeAndre Ayton. This team added finals experience in areas that they needed to improve. Last season they had Jackson Hayes and they still finished with the 3rd seed. They had no perimeter defense and they obviously got exposed in the playoffs. But with those things being patched up and Luka Doncic looking in the best shape that we've seen him in a minute, I definitely anticipate a MVP caliber season from him, and I think he starts it off with cool little 35-piece tonight.
Okay, my thing is Aiden really enough? Is he that much of an upgrade over Jackson Hayes?
If Luka can make Derek Lively look,
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Derek Lively was great. What are you talking about?
You gotta look at it like this. People act like DeAndre Ayton is some scrub. He's still a 16-10 center who was on a finals team with that Phoenix Suns team. And, we saw him at his best with a playmaker like Chris Paul. So now coming to the Lakers, having a playmaker like Luka Doncic, having guys like Austin Reeves and then LeBron when he comes back, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for him to get back or close to that all-star form.
Right, and we've seen it already with, Luka carrying with Jackson Hayes the back half of last season. So, but yeah, if it's anybody that can lead a team, I believe it's Luka Doncic because he did with the Mavericks. So.
You two are just a bunch of Lakers fans. So I'm not even going to comment on that anymore.
Yeah, our next game, we have Pistons at the Rockets. I feel like the Rockets, if they rock that tall lineup, they should have this game pretty easily.
Honestly, this is a toss-up. This is a 50-50. This is one of my favorite matchups to start out the season. I'd honestly go with the Pistons. I just see a lot in them. I still think it's going to take a while to adjust to this new offense for Kevin Durant. It is a major piece to try to just, plop into your offense. And we really still don't know who's going to be running this team. Fred VanVleet's going to be out. Can KD, bring up the ball? He can. But will he? Probably not.
Yeah, that's the biggest question for me. Without a point guard, especially to start this season against a pretty solid perimeter defense in Detroit, I think they're going to have some struggles. They don't have the chemistry. KD, he's a plug-and-play type of guy. You would think he's a seamless fit.
Yeah.
But at this age, I think he's going to need some time to, first of all, ramp up and to get into form. And then I just think with no playmaker, it's going to be hard for him to get the same looks. I mean, obviously, he's the best creator we've ever seen. But at age, 37, he's not creating on the ball as much. He's more moving towards off the ball. And without a playmaker to get him the ball, I just think the Pistons, with the chemistry that they have from last season, should be able to carry it over and get this win tonight.
I mean,
I'm sorry. It seems like he has a lot of confidence in this team already. He just signed an extension the other day for 2 years, $90 million, which, that was something else. But, KD is known as to be on teams that, win with him. But I don't know. I think KD can carry this team out of the West and maybe make the finals.
I mean, the one thing I'm actually really interested to look at is when was the last time we've seen KD with a playmaking big? I think Sengun can really unlock KD in a way that we haven't really seen, We've seen it with Jokic specifically, the way he can unlock not just his guards, but his wings as well. So I think KD, I don't think he's going to run a bunch of DHOs or anything like that, but I think having a big who can play make to the level of Sengun's level can definitely open things up for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really helps when he's, running that shooting guard to start the season, and he's 6'10" compared to everybody else.
Is he 6'10"? He's 7'1".
That would be a fun lineup to watch defensively. I think we're going to see some crazy highlights getting out and getting some stops and then getting in transition with that team. It's going to be exciting to watch. I just think in the half court it's going to slow down. I think the Pistons just grind it out.
Yeah, that's the Pistons in general.
And then possibly our best matchup on this NBA Friday, Hawks at Magic. Let's start with you guys. What do you guys think?
That one is a really close one for me. I'm really high on the Hawks this year, but I do think the Orlando Magic have the defensive backcourt to stifle Trae Young enough to, I like the wings that they have. I like Ricochet. I like Jalen Johnson, but I think they're going to need some time to just get into form. Obviously, the biggest question with the Hawks, they obviously always have the talent, but they can never stay healthy and they can never put it all together. I think this season, they should be able to have a greater season than this should be their best season since their Eastern Conference season, but I do think this game specifically is not for them.
Yeah, I just think the Hawks have too many big pieces that could really slow down Paulo. I could just really see him slowing it down. You have Kristaps now, you have Jalen Johnson, you have Ricochet. I can see the Magic just losing this one pretty easily.
Right, I'm going to agree with you. The Hawks, with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis stretching the floor over there, and then they added more depth for the bench, three-point snipers off the bench. And Trae Young being the facilitator that he is, he's going to probably carry the Hawks to the win.
Yeah, absolutely. You are a special guest today. You want to tell anything to the fans?
Yeah, I have a podcast with Miley Palacios, Rebel Roundtable, that is aired every Tuesday at 3 p.m. We just run through football, basketball, whatever's relevant, and it's been a lot of fun lately. And Ethan?
Yeah, like you said, Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Just make sure to keep up with them. Maya, back to you.
Dribbling on over to baseball, the World Series starts tonight with the Dodgers going to Toronto to face the Blue Jays. And here to talk about it is a familiar face, Justin, and the other half of the Rebel Roundtable, Miley.
Thank you very much, Maya, and I'd like to welcome to the desk Miley. And how'd you feel about the NLCS between your Dodgers and the Brewers?
Honestly, I felt really good about it. Either way, I obviously was born into loving the Dodgers, but I am a Brewers fan as well. So either way, I was going to end happy. I am a bit surprised that they swept the Brewers, but in the end, good game.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have the Dodgers with just their stacked rotation against those Brewers hitters. And those Brewers hitters, they're scrappy, but, there's not a lot of star power there outside of Yelich. So I really feel like it was going to be an easy Dodgers victory, and it was. But moving over to the American side, we had a classic of an ALCS with the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Went to 7 games, and oh my God, that George Springer home run, that was electric.
Especially since he had just gotten hurt a few games, if not the previous game. So being able to come from being injured, overcoming that, and hitting such a game-winning, series-winning home run, I think that was great for him.
Yeah, especially because that injury that you mentioned, that was him getting drilled in the knee
Yes.
by one of those Mariners pitchers. So that adds the salt in the wound to all the Mariners fans, and that's what playoff baseball is all about. That right there, that was elite.
But honestly, the Mariners, I believe they had it coming a little bit because they came out so strong those first 2 games. They let it fall in those next 2. It was a tight game, but with the score difference of those first 3 games, it was kind of hard to tell which way it was going to go.
Yeah, especially those 2 games in Seattle, the game 3 and game 4. Those
Yes.
were like lopsided Blue Jays victories, which was very surprising.
It was like horrible for the Mariners because they come off such big wins. There's no way they would have been able to see that coming, I don't think.
Yeah, but that's enough about the ALCS. Let's move on to World Series predictions. Now, you know me, resident Phillies fans. That's my camera. Resident Phillies fans. But, I got to rep my brothers from the north. Go Toronto, baby. I know it's David versus Goliath, but I am Team David right now.
Well, I got to be Goliath. Again, I was born into this, and yeah, you were wearing that Phillies jersey last time you came on the show, so I don't really want to hear much about the Blue Jays if you aren't a loyal fan.
Hey, what can I say? I got a deep back. We'll see. Well, 8 Blue Jays this postseason are hitting with an OPS above 750, which is about league average. That's an elite number, and I mean, the Dodgers, yes, their starting rotation off the charts, but their bullpen is bad.
Yeah.
Straight up bad. And
Yeah,
the Blue
it is.
Jays thrive off of bad bullpens. They did it in Game 7 off the Mariners with Springer. I think they'll do it again.
Well, here's the thing with that is you got to crack the starter to get into the bullpen. And when we got Snell going 8 innings, Yamamoto going 9, it's going to be a bit hard for them to even get through there. And even now, we got Roki Sasaki transitioning into being a closer. So if we could successfully transition a starter into a closer, I think we should be fine.
I understand that, but you also got the Blue Jays get home advantage for this series,
That's
and
true.
the Rogers Center, it is rocking 100% of the time. Those Dodgers pitchers, they got to be prepared to be in a loud environment because they're going to get their name yelled. They're going to get called all kinds of crazy things. They
Yeah.
got to work through that, and I don't know if they're built for that.
Well, we played through Philly.
That is true. I don't really got a good comeback for that, except for, let's move on. Trey Yesevich has been a really big X factor for this Blue Jays pitching rotation. They don't have quite the Snells and the Yamamotos and the Otanis, but Yesevich, since he's a rookie, Dodgers don't got tape on him. They've never seen this guy before. That could really balance the scales, if you know what I mean.
I do agree, but if it's the best to have a star rookie versus star veterans, at least 3. We got Ohtani, who's been playing some of the best baseball. I will give it to him that the beginning of the postseason was a little bit of a struggle for him, but I mean, the last game against the Brewers, 10 strikeouts, 6 scoreless innings, 3 home runs in 1 game for a pitcher power hitter.
Yeah, well, we will see because the Blue Jays, they are getting back their star shortstop, Bo Bichette, for the series. He was out pretty much since September, and now he is back. And him, he's a righty. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's a righty. George Springer, a righty. Alondra Kirk, a righty. That really limits kind of what Snell, Vesia, Dreyer, Robleski, what they can do. Those lefty pitchers, they're facing a lot of righty hitters. That really shifts to the Blue Jays' favor here.
Yeah, I agree, but again, we also have some power hitters too. We can't limit the fact that, okay, we're great at pitching. We got great hitters too. And we got October Kike. We unlocked him, so.
That's true. But, that's the series-to-series consistency. The Dodgers don't really have quite that. Ohtani, of course, did great in the Brewers series. But against the Reds and the Phillies, he didn't really do much. Will Smith, since he's been back, he's been all right, but his power hasn't been there. Kike has definitely kind of been the star so far. He's gotten up with the biggest hits so far.
Yeah. We've also got Teoscar Hernandez, who I will admit gave a little bit of laziness against the Phillies, and that just goes to his lack of effort. But when it comes to power hitting, we've got him there too. And if we're going to be talking about previous series. Let's go Dodgers 2-0 in the wild card, 3-1 in the division series, and 4-0 a sweep in the championship series, where the Blue Jays, they didn't have to go through the wild card. They automatically went into the division series, and they won 3-1 and 4-3. So it seems as though you can't really say the lack of power from other teams, but the Dodgers have had a bit of a consistency in beating teams quickly.
You make a good point, but I will mention in that Phillies series, they did have a negative run differential against the Phillies. Phillies scored 2 more runs in that series,
but
regardless
who
of
won
it
the
being
series?
in one game. I don't, nope. Oh. But that's just something you got to look out for. If they have one, like when they let up 8 runs to the Phillies, if they just do that like a couple of times against the Blue Jays, they're in trouble. This isn't a 162 game series, a season where you can kind of learn through your mistakes. This is 7 games. These are the most important 7 games that these players will play in their entire lives. They have to be on the ball, on the ball, on the ball. And their consistency hasn't been quite there yet. Obviously, at full power, they're going to easily win. But we don't know. It's 7 games. That's the beauty of the postseason.
And you could also point out the fact that the Dodgers do let up within the 8th and 9th inning. So that does give a window for the Blue Jays to come in. But we'll see what happens in those first 7.
Yeah, I mean, we'll agree to disagree here. You know, I got to rep the Blue Jays, you the Dodgers. But moving on from that, you want to talk about the salary cap? I know that's been a big topic right now.
Yes. So as a Dodger fan, we've gotten a lot of pushback on the salary cap, salary floor. Here's the thing. You can't have a salary cap without having a salary floor. There's billionaires running these teams who don't spend the money, who don't pay to win, pay for players, and teams like the Dodgers are getting pushed back. But when at the beginning of the season, the Mets had the biggest payroll, where are they? They sucked.
You do make a good point, but you also got to realize Phillies, Blue Jays, obviously the Dodgers, Yankees, these are teams that did spend the most, and they did make it. The Mets was just kind of like a fluke, let's be real. They were in position, and they just kind of choked near the end, which is hilarious, and I love it. But,
yeah, me too.
But, yeah, the thing is with the salary cap is that it will motivate these lower or smaller market teams to really spend more money. You know, you got talks about Detroit not being able to retain Skubal right now. They were $250 million off in their contract negotiations. Got Pittsburgh not being able to maintain Paul Skeens. If they lose him, that city of Pittsburgh's going to riot if they lose him.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. The Brewers made it so far to get to the championship series. And the Brewers have the 23rd highest payroll. So they are way down in the numbers. But they didn't pay to win, and they still got that far and won. So you can't really say, oh, they're just paying to win. You can't say that about every team, because there are some teams that make their way through still.
Yeah, and you know, they've tried to kind of relinquish that before with, you know, revenue sharing.
Yes.
But even like the Dodgers TV deal, it's kind of like a unicorn where like they're making so much compared to what they're giving away that it really doesn't matter. They can afford to give Shohei Ohtani that $700 million contract. Really, what other teams besides maybe like the top 5 big market teams can do that?
The Giants.
They're one of the top 5, I think. San Francisco is not top 5, and Oakland in that.
I am not putting Giants in top 5.
For big markets, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we were talking just.
Oh no, they suck.
Yeah. Okay, we can agree on that. But you see, it also was down to the players. If the players don't want to go to a sucky team, they're not gonna, and that's what happened with Ohtani.
Yeah, but once again, all they're going to see is the Dodgers winning back-to-back championships after giving Ohtani $700 million. The Players Association, they might call for a strike in the 2027 season. That's where it's headed currently.
Yeah. Well, then I guess we'll just have to see going forward.
I suppose so. Well, that's all we have today here on The Huddle. Let's throw it back to Maya.
Thank you to our special guests, Smiley and Thomas, the hosts of the Rebel Roundtable. Make sure to go check out their killer podcast on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Let's finish the episode. Another new sports, UFC. New sport, new week, you know what I'm saying? Hero, Conrick, and John, please take it away.
Appreciate it, Maya. From the baseball field over to the octagon. Boys, UFC 321 this weekend in Abu Dhabi.
Super excited.
What are you thinking, man?
We got a pretty good card. The main card topping it off with Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. I mean, let's start off with some predictions.
Yeah, so we'll start from one heavyweight title to a fight that brings a lot of heavyweight implications. We have Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. Huge Volkov, you know, he brings that height. So do you know how tall he is?
I think he's like 6'7" or something like that.
6'7", Alexander Volkov, Russian giant. A lot of people mention him as a real life Ivan Drago. But anyways, he's fighting Gelatin Almeida, a guy that's come up. He's a natural 205er light heavyweight going up to the heavyweight division. Obviously, he's had his career now at heavyweight. So how do you think this fares? Do you think that size difference will be too much for Almeida, or do you think he'll grapple Volkov and maybe cruise to a decision?
I mean, in my opinion, I think Volkov, he can use his height to his advantage. He'll definitely use his range, use those kicks to kind of, hit the body, get some kicks in, get some 1-2s in. And he has pretty good, takedown defense, in my opinion. So I think with this fight, I see it going to a decision. I don't think there's going to be a finish from either guys. I do think Almeida might look for the finish, but I think he'll fade on throughout after the first round. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, Conric, you're a grappler yourself, you're a wrestler. So what he just mentioned is a very good point. Almeida is a guy who'll go out there. He'll be eager to get the finish early, but if he doesn't get it, it could turn into a fight, like a stalemate fight to what we saw last year against Derek Lewis, where you kind of just didn't see anything moving forward. So how do you see that going? Do you think a guy like Almeida will go in there, get Volkov out early, or do you think he'll struggle, given Volkov's experience and just, height differential?
I mean, Almeida, he's had some, recent first-round finishes, so I think he's definitely going to go out there and, probably chase that takedown. We know he's an elite grappler, right? We've seen it multiple times on multiple different occasions. Some of, Volkov's weaknesses are grappling, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think that's really going to play in his favor, and I think Almeida, he's gonna put it on him.
Yeah. And do you think Volkov, fighting Almeida here is kind of him being done dirty in a way? Obviously, a lot of people thought he'd beat Cyril Gane, but now we see Cyril Gane fight for the title and Volkov finding a hungry contender.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Volkov should be the one fighting for the title right now, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, I think the UFC did kind of do him a little dirty with this one. So, I mean, that's that though. I mean, you can't do anything about that, so yeah.
From the big boys over to the bantamweights, obviously the bantamweights have always been, one of the most electric weight classes in the UFC. People think about bantamweights, lightweights, always bring the action. No different here. Umar Nurmagomedov, right? We think of the last name Nurmagomedov, you think of Khabib and his legacy, and now you have his cousin Umar fighting hungry guy like Mario Bautista, who quite frankly was hated by the fans previously. Right. We think of the Jose Aldo fight, UFC 307 in Salt Lake City. And then now he had the task of welcoming Patchy Mix at UFC 316 in New Jersey. He did just that, and I feel like people may still discredit what Mario Bautista is about. So talk to me, John, what do you think? How do you think this goes? Do you think, is this too much of a step up, right? Going from maybe a older Jose Aldo and then Patchy Mix, who people just had question marks coming from Bellator, to Umar Nurmagomedov, who just arguably gave Merab the toughest fight he's had as a champion.
I really don't think it's that big of a step up. If you look at this fight stylistically, it's very evenly matched. Two guys that fight is kind of similar. I mean, obviously with Umar, he has that ability to kind of like take him down and grapple on the floor. Also has that stand-up game. But with this fight, I don't think there's going to be a finish in this one. I see it being a very grueling, grinded-out fight. I do think Bautista gets one round in, but after that, I think Umar starts picking him off and starts, maybe trying to take him down and, mixing in some other stuff to kind of just throw him off. So.
Yeah, Umar, I mean, Mario obviously is known to be able to grind these fights out.
Right.
So do you see that, potential huge step there for Umar to, hey, listen, I got to, not maybe drop a round or two, got to be on my game for all 3 rounds, rather than maybe approaching it like he does on title fights, because this is a 3-rounder, it's not a 5-rounder.
Right.
So do you see that? Do you think this is more dangerous for him in that aspect? He's fighting a guy that can grind these fights out.
I do think so, yeah. If anything, I mean, we saw with the Jose Aldo fight, he was just holding him, kind of doing what he needed to do to kind of get that win. So I think for Umar, that might be something that he needs to look out for. If he wants to get it done early, I mean, obviously he has submissions in this game with, obviously his cousin being, what's his name? Khabib, yeah. So, but I still do think Umar gets this job done. I see him doing a 29-28 or 30-27, so.
Fair play. Over to you, man. Obviously, we talk wrestling with you. I mean, it doesn't get bigger in wrestling than the Nurmagomedov family. So how do you see this going? How do you see Umar approaching a fight against a guy like Mario Bautista?
I mean, like you said, Umar did give Merab, a really good fight. We know Merab is a pacey guy, right? And the fact that Umar was able to keep up with him, I mean, that says a lot, So, I mean, I understand that Bautista, he's a pacey guy, but I think Umar just gets it done anyways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you think this propels Umar back into the title mix with Merab, just given how, kind of Merab's starting to lap the division, right? He just got booked against Petr Yan in a rematch this December here in Las Vegas, and once that is done and settled, if we assume Merab goes to win that, who's next for him? You know what I'm saying? So do you think that kind of makes these stakes on this fight even bigger than what they already are?
100%.
100%, yeah. I mean, I feel like if Umar does go out here and, you know, puts on the show, I think he's definitely up next for that title shot against Merab. I mean, we saw earlier in the year, I mean, that fight against the two was pretty, you know, closely contested. So I think that's the only right fight to make after this one if Umar does win. So, yeah.
And shifting gears over to our first title fight, Virna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. The story behind this, obviously, Zhang Weili, one of the best champions we've seen in the sport. She's moving up to chase greatness at UFC 322 at the MSG, the Mecca, against Valentina Shevchenko. So obviously vacating the belt, and now we see Virna Jandiroba, Mackenzie Dern. How do you see this one going? And, you know, is this for you the start of a new era at strawweight?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we've seen this fight before, like a couple of years ago. I mean, this fight is going to be way different. Jandiroba, she has gotten way better at grappling, and I think she's going to use that to her advantage. I think she's just going to make this fight super grueling for Mackenzie Dern. I think she's going to look for that takedown early on and just try and hold her there and control that, control her in the ground for the most part of the fight. So I think she gets it done by decision. What do you guys think?
Is this a case where you think more of like Virna has evolved more than Mackenzie since her first fight, since her first encounter?
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, like I said, her grappling has gone way better. And I just don't think Mackenzie has elite enough, you know, grappling and scrambles on the floor to kind of see it out. So I think she's going to struggle on that aspect.
I do think her raw BJJ is going to be a huge threat to Virna, though. Obviously, Mackenzie, I mean, that's what people know her as, you know, she brings that in. So, Conric, obviously, when we talk grappling there, obviously, Mackenzie Dern brings in high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, do you think that'll be enough to get her second victory over Virna, you know, the biggest one yet?
I mean, we know Dern is an elite grappler. We've seen it on multiple different occasions, you know what I'm saying? So, I think Dern's going to get it done. Simple as that, yeah.
From a business standpoint, right, I think it's no secret here. I mean, the UFC probably wants someone like Mackenzie Dern.
Right.
Virna, they're both really nice ladies, but obviously Mackenzie Dern, very marketable. You know, she's very outspoken out there. And so, do you think when the UFC books these type of fights, especially like a vacant title fight, you think they kind of process that in when they're matchmaking?
100% they do. 110% they do.
I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, 100%. I do think that the UFC booked Mackenzie Dern to find this fight for that reason, mainly to see her be the champion and to, you know, be able to promote her. So, yeah.
We'll find out. Obviously, the big boys are next up. Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane. Man, we finally have some clarity in the heavyweight division, right? All this John Jones, Tom Aspinall, John Jones.
Quack.
Yeah, and
Quack.
he said it. So now we have stability, heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall, he didn't fight to become the undisputed. He just got promoted because of John Jones retiring.
Right. So
now that we have Tom Aspinall's first defense, how do you see it going? Obviously, Cyril Gane, opponent who's fought for the title, been there, done that, but now we're talking he's fighting Tom Aspinall this time around. So,
I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, in what world does Cyril Gane, you know, get a victory out of this fight? I mean, Tom Aspinall is too fast, too skilled. He's very light on the feet, so he can get this fight done in different ways. I mean, I think he's gonna get it done in the first round by submission, or maybe even by knockout. So,
well, let me ask you guys. Tom Aspinall, like you said, he gets guys out of there quick. But if Cyril Gane, with his experience, he's been in these 5 rounders before, drags it to deep waters, is that going to be a new test out of Tom Aspinall we've never seen and potentially see an upset?
I think
coming?
Aspinall's going to get drowned. I'm not going to lie to you. I think if Gane can make it out of the first, 2 rounds, I think Aspinall, he's going to drown Aspinall. Aspinall's not going to have that gas tank. I mean, he has the KO power. Don't get me wrong. He definitely has that KO power, but we normally see that in the first, couple rounds. And if Gane can make it all the way to the end, I feel like he'll get it done. He'll for sure get the job done.
Got predictions on both sides. Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane. One way to find out this weekend at UFC 321. Back to you guys.
Thank you for watching this amazing episode of The Huddle. I'm your host, Maya Perez. Make sure to follow all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you know what to do.